So I'm gonna give my 2 cents in on the whole argument of if females should join the military. And I say yes and no. Yes, because in the long run it does pay off. In the long run, you get your benefits. You get your VA loan, right? You get your college money, GI Bill. All right, you can get your vocational rehabilitation, right? You can get even uniforms paid for. Like if you're a mechanic, you get your tests can be paid for through the voc rehab program. Your ASE tests, right? Your uniforms that can be paid. Like if I went to here Honolulu Community College, offers automotive associate's degree. So if I wanted to get that degree, that associate's degree in automotive, then I could, and the GI Bill would pay for that, or vocational rehabilitation program would pay for my uniforms, would pay for my tests, right? Even if you let it go 4-year school, you want to become social worker, you want to become psychologist, you want to become, I don't know, anything, nurse, you want to become a nurse, you want to become I don't know, what is there? It has to get approved, right? You can even get 100% tuition while you're in any service, right? You also can get, what is the other one? Sometimes you can get bonuses. All right, if they need a certain service, military occupational service, you can get a sign-on bonus. Like when I was in, they needed, I believe they needed 88 mics. Nobody wanted to be a truck driver too much because it's a dangerous job. So they're giving quite a few, maybe 30 grand for soldiers to enlist. No matter, you could be an E1 and get that bonus, right? But it's a dangerous job. Well, at the time we were going to the Middle East, right? Afghanistan and Iraq. We had all those year-long deployments going on. So, but I think they still have bonuses for certain jobs. Just go talk to a recruiter and find out. All right. What else? So yes, I would say do your 3 years, or 4 years, get your honorable discharge. Okay, then you get all the perks of that. The thing is if you are enlisted during or commissioned, let's say you get your degree and you go in as an officer, I think your IRR, inactive ready reserve status, commitment is 8 years. So you'd technically, if you serve your 4 years active duty honorably and you get discharged honorably, then you could get called back to serve if the Army, at the needs of the Army, if they need your occupation. Okay, but it's worth it. I mean, you get your VA loan, you don't have to pay a down payment anywhere, buy a property, buy a home, and just pay mortgage. You don't have to deal with landlords, you don't have to deal with rent, paying a landlord, and having to give your money away that way. Yeah, you can build up equity and all that fun stuff that comes with a mortgage. Look into that program more. All right. Plus, if you like, just do your 3-4 years, get your honorable discharge, and then go apply for civilian job anywhere. If you show that honorable discharge, it just shows your employer that, wow, this person can go to formation on time, they can be on time for work, they're perform in adverse conditions. Make sure you make friends with all your supervisors while you're in. All right, ask them for their number or social media or something, just to keep their contact, and ask them for job recommendations. So you do that. That's what I would recommend. Just do 4 years and get out. You get all the college money, you get all the benefits. Now, if you get injured, whereas in the civilian world, you get injured, you're not guaranteed to get, was it comp time or convalescent pay? You're not guaranteed that, right? So in the Army, if you go see the doctor, what if psychological injuries, medical physical injuries, all that stuff counts. So you can get rated on it. All right, psychological and physical injuries, you can get your compensation, right? Your VA compensation when you get out, but you have to prove how injured you are to what extent by the Department of Veteran Affairs standards. So there's that. And you can also possibly be medically boarded out of the military, which that is also a guaranteed paycheck. A medical board has to decide that for you. But like civilian employers, CEOs, corporations, they don't offer that, right? They don't offer that kind of benefit. Okay. On the flip side, it's very dangerous, you know, especially when I was in during a global war on terrorism. So I would have probably gotten called back. I did my 4 years. I got out for 3 years. Sorry, I had I enlisted for a 3-year tour. And whew, I went to college, and then I just went back in because I got injured, and anyways, it's not good. Anyway, so this is a long video. I need to get to the point here. So you get all your stuff that way. So I would say do your 3 or 4 years, get qualified. You got to be in shape. You know, if you could pass your high school, get a high school GED, graduate high school, you can more than likely pass the ASVAB tests, right? You gotta pass the minimum for the physical requirements. You gotta get drug tested. You gotta be drug free. You gotta get psychologically evaluated, right? You have to see, what is it? Those are the main things I get people. And then if you have a mom or dad, if you're a boy, if you're a girl, you have to leave daddy. If you have a boyfriend, you have to leave boyfriend behind if you want to go somewhere else, right? Unless you can get stationed near your home, which some people do that, and that's great. All right, that's probably the hardest part, is shipping out. And for a guy too, is to leave his mom, or for his mom to let him leave. That's the hardest part, shipping out. And then girlfriend, if you have a girlfriend, if a guy has a girlfriend or a wife and kids, that's hard to ship out, right? To do long distance. So that's really stressful. So those are some of the reasons people don't join, right? But on the flip side, there are perks to it. You get to travel. If you can pick your duty station, you can pick your job, do it. Like some jobs, you don't ever have to deploy. I don't think like a lab x-ray technician. If you can get that job in the Army, that's a posh job. Or if you can get like finance, you know, dealing with people's pay. They're sort of like admin jobs, like desk jobs, but you're dealing with people's pay. So like you're needed, right? So you could do that. Likely you could get deployed. I know finance people that got deployed. Or admin, you know, like what is it? The Alpha series, I think it's 62 Alpha. But anyway, the admin, right? S1, it's called S1 in the Army. It's called that, right? So those guys get deployed, but will they go out on missions and stuff? Maybe here and there, maybe. Will they be in danger? Possibly, yeah, possibly. But they're not going to be like the infantry or the submariners. They have, you know, torpedoes on their submarines, destroyers. I'm not sure what the all-male occupational services are in the Navy or the Air Force, really. I know military police or security forces, those are kind of dangerous jobs, right? Those are really hard jobs. Military police and security force, because they're in garrison, they're patrolling the base and they're conducting law enforcement for garrison, right? So they deal with a lot of domestic violence and the kind of all kind of different, they deal with all kinds of stuff on base, you know, DUI, unruly soldiers, that sort of thing, belligerent, this and that, I don't know, spats, fights and stuff, bar fights, I don't know, crime, right? And then, so they do their patrols all day, and then when deployment comes, they got to do the same thing, but they gotta work with like the other police of the different nations now. They got to work with the world's crimes, right? So that's a hard job. Security force and military police, I'd say, is probably a really hard job. Dangerous as well. Very taxing on the mental, right? But yeah, as a female, there's lots of violence in the military. It's a very, you know, violent job. And if you can stand being around men or women that are sort of trained, you know, we're trained to fight and to sort of be in that mode all the time, that aggressive. If you can just take orders and you like doing your job, you like your job, then I'd say go for it. Like, the military can be a sweet deal, real sweet deal, right? If you have a good leadership, takes care of you, make sure you're getting paid, make sure your housing is set, make sure you get your leave, make sure your family's taken care of, make sure your whole, like, your spiritual is taken care of, your whatever you do, whatever your culture requires, or just a lot of things, you know, they're supposed to take care of you as a service member in whatever service you're in. So I say do it. On the flip side, it can be very dangerous because as females, you know, we're around the men a lot, and they're away from their wives and girlfriends and families, you know, for sometimes over a year, months and months at a time. So yeah, MST does happen, military sexual trauma. So yeah, there's always that factor. I'm not saying it will happen, I'm not saying it always happens, and I'm not saying it never happens, but I am saying that it's possible. But if you're a big person, like you're a big girl, like you're, I'd say 5'8" and up, taller, then you might be okay. You might be able to carry your weapon on you at all times, and you might be okay. I don't know. I've heard some crazy stories though. So, but that's the risk you take for those kind of benefits and stuff. So if you like get your medals, you like earn your Purple Heart or whatever, you like get your medical benefits, you like get your Medal of Honor, whatever medals you get, you know, Army Commendation medals, there's all sorts of achievement medals you can get, coins, all kinds of stuff you get in the military, they reward you with, right? So, and then not only that, when you come home, you put it on your resume, you put it on your, you can always, you can keep those medals, you know, you know, those are your achievements that you did during wartime or during your service. So anyway, those are just some things to look at. You don't get preferential treatment just because you're a female. And a lot of the times the older female NCOs and officers, they're harder on the younger females. And the men are not, I mean, the men can be hard on the females as well. But I mean, if you do your job and you're squared away, right? If you do your job, you go to work on time, right? And you're good at what you do and you excel, then you should be fine. Like, you shouldn't have any problems. And you do your job proficiently, then you shouldn't have any problems. But I just noticed that as women, we're expected to be soldiers. We're expected to live up to the standards. The standard's really high in the military. And as females, we're not given, I mean, it's competitive too. right? It's competitive. You're all competing for promotion. You're all competing for awards and good promotions. What am I trying to say? Like, you're trying to look good. You're trying to progress. And that's the other thing. The military won't give up on you so quick. Like, they can't really fire you, but they can't really they can't just give up on you if you're late to formation, or if you make some mistakes. They can't just fire you off of one mistake. They give you chances. They try to rehabilitate you. That's the other thing, is the military, the army, really, they help me that way. I know everybody doesn't have the same experience, so it's kind of a gamble. But at the same time, I would say if you're 5'8" and up, you can shoot a weapon and you can defend yourself. You can defend yourself against any man or woman. I say join. It's worth the 3 or 4 years, right? If you're shorter and you're how do I say this? I'm not saying you can't do it, but I would say it's harder. So it just all comes down to who would you pick to be on your team to deploy with, right? Who would you pick to go to war with, right? So think about that about your peers. A lot of your peers are going to be male, right? Like I said, they're all competing for the same promotions, the same medals, the same job slots that you are. So there's going to be a lot of competition, just like in sports, just like in any job, right? So yeah, those are my 2 cents. So I guess if that makes any sense, I hope that helped you. I hope that helps. So it's worth it. I mean, what other job does that? Not many. All right. Hooey ho.